This video will give you some tricks and tips on how to run the palletizing, depalletizing demo program for trade shows and showrooms. So in the same folder where you found this video, you will also find the program and installation files that should be installed on the robot. You will also find that instructions document as a PDF, as well as a quick reference cheat sheet that you might want to use as you're doing this. So the first things I want to discuss is the general setup. All right, so first of all, you'll need good compressed air. We're talking 100 PSI, that's 6.7 bar. It should be clean, dry air. So make sure you have a good filter, dryer, and regulator on your setup. So this demo program is meant to run on air pick. So if we look here at our end effector, it is mounted with air pick. It is currently not using the extension bracket, the 200 millimeters extension bracket. So this depends on your setup, actually on your pallet size and box size. The best way to know if you do need the bracket or not is to use the configurator on our website, enter the size of the boxes and pallets, and then it will tell you if you do need the extension bracket or not. And it is meant to run on a conveyor, so it is preferred to have a running conveyor with two pallets, right? One on the left, one on the right, because you are going to be palletizing and depalletizing. So basically what the program will do, and there's a video showing it again on in the same folder, is it's going to palletize on one side, then depalletize, put each box back on the conveyor, let it move to the pick position, then pick it from here and start palletizing on that other pallet. So that's pretty much it for the general setup. Now the only thing you might want to take into consideration is that on most trade shows floors, there's going to be carpet. Okay, you want to make sure that the base of the palletizing solution is not standing on carpet. You'll want to cut around, make sure that it is well seated on concrete. Make sure that it's level 2. All right, you'll want a level solution. And third, if you can, try and have anchors there, have it anchored to the ground. Now, if you can't, you'll have to run at lower speed with a lower box weight, empty boxes preferably at a slower speed. But if you can have it anchored in the concrete, definitely it is preferred. Go ahead and do that. All right, so that's for the general setup. Now we're gonna move to the program itself. So what I'll do is I'll show you the teach pendant, walk you through each step, and we'll build the program together. So the first thing you'll need to do is to install the program that was downloaded from the share.robotique.com folder. Demo Pal Depal is the name of the program. So you'll see it load. The second thing you want to make sure is that your TCP and payload are set up correctly. So this happens in the installation folder. I'll check, make sure that the TCP is the right one, as well as the payload. So those ones were actually also uploaded at the same time as the program. So just a double check to make sure that we are good. Now the way the program is built, there's a few things you need to do in the before start sequence. So if you look here, I'm looking at the before start sequence. There's a folder called program settings. So there are two scripts here that need to be unsuppressed and then run once so that the robot learns a couple of things. All right, the first one is called find box center. So this is what we're gonna do right now. I'm just gonna launch the robot arm, make sure that it's ready to run. So that first folder, that first program called Find Box Center will allow you to teach the two corners of the box, and then the robot will calculate, will interpolate the exact center of the box. So this is a quick script that allows you to find the exact center of the box with minimum effort. All right, so let's do this together. Active drive will be useful in this case because I'm gonna want to move the robot without, while making sure that it's exactly perpendicular to the work surface, to the floor basically. So the first thing you have to do is to unsuppress that Find Box Center folder in the program settings section. And from here, you'll have two waypoints to teach. But before doing so, you want to make sure that first the tool is exactly perpendicular or normal to the work surface, and that it is aligned with the box. So to do so, the first thing we're going to do is realign or reorient the tool using the reorient feature under active drive. So now I know that I'm normal to the surface. Then I'm going to use active drive with Scara mode because I don't want to lose that angle. Okay, so I'm going to lock it, use Scara mode, and then move to the side of the box. Now I'm not teaching this waypoint. I just want to make sure that my tool, okay, the air pick, is exactly at the same angle as the box. So this is just a reference. So now that I know that I'm at the right position, right angle, I'm gonna go and move to translation mode. So now I'm not gonna lose that angle around Z. I'm not gonna create a rotation around Z anymore. And then I can start teaching my two waypoints. So I'm gonna go and select corner 1, set waypoint. Then I'm gonna move to the first corner here of the box. You want to be as much as possible exactly on the corner. So that's corner 1. And then I'll do the same thing with corner 2. I want to move to the opposite corner. I don't need to care about the height right now. What this part of the program does is just interpolate the center in X and Y. I'll adjust height Z later. Okay, so once I'm done, those two waypoints are taught. Now I can go ahead and run that little piece of the program. And you'll see that this section ends with an halt. So if I just go ahead and run the program and then I'll move away from it because it's gonna move between those 2 points. So now the robot is exactly centered on the box. So that's the first step. Once this has been taught, what I can do is resuppress that folder, Find Box Center. Okay, it does say suppress after use. And then as I'm at the right position right now. Now I can take care of the height. So I just want to make sure that the 4 suction cups are in good contact with the surface. So I'm gonna go and use the move tab. I'm gonna reduce the speed and then move down a little bit. Just enough so that the lip creates a good contact with the box. And once I'm at the right position, then I can go back to the program and teach this position in the 2 Palletizer nodes. You're gonna notice in the program there's 2 Palletizer nodes, one for palletizing and one for depalletizing. So they're both gonna use that pick position. There's one here, in my case, at line 75. Set, it's called drop position in this case, and the other one again, in my case, at line 156. I want to go ahead and teach this. So now what I just taught was the 2 pick positions, but we know that when it depalletizes, I wanted to drop the box on the conveyor a little bit further from that section which is guided very tightly. Okay, so where the point on the conveyor where I'm gonna drop the box has to be offset a little bit, where there's a wider space to drop. This is not done, this is not taught in the Palletizer nodes, okay? So that's the one little thing we need to grasp. It is not taught here, it's not taught as the drop position, but we're gonna use it as an offset. So that's what that second suppressed folder is about. It is called picking, a palletizing pick to depalletizing release offset. So we're basically teaching an offset between the pick and the drop position. So again, a bit like we just did, what we are teaching is a difference between 2 points. So let's go ahead and do it together. So again, I want to unsuppress that node. And then I can teach the pick position again as this one. So I'm going to set waypoint. This is the pick position. And then I want to teach the release position. So to teach it, what I like to do is to turn on the vacuum and then actually grab the box move up just a little bit, 1 or 2 centimeters is enough. And then I'm gonna move away towards the head of the conveyor in the wider area. So I can move per respect with the base of the robot. In that case, I know that I'm gonna move along the X axis. Just enough so that I clear that that smaller space on the conveyor. And then this can be a good release position. So I'll go back to the program and teach this as a release position. Set waypoint. And then I can go ahead and release, actually release. I see that there's a little gap here, just a few centimeters. I could reteach the position, pull it down a little bit, just a tiny bit. But I want to make sure there's a little bit of a gap, okay, to give it room. Make sure that the suction cups are not touching the box once it is released. So now that those two folders are done, I still want to play it. I want to run it at least once so that it knows. All right, so it moves from here to there, and then it just learned the offset and is using it in the program as a variable right now. So I'm not gonna go into the details here, but you have to run it once so that it learns the distance. Now that this is done, I can go ahead and suppress that folder again. And then the next thing I wanna do is to set up the Palletizer nodes. So again, I'm gonna go down, go to that Palletizer node, and then I'm simply gonna go and teach the height, width, and length of the boxes, so the dimensions of the boxes, as well as the payload. So mine are very light, 2 kilograms. And for the height, what we recommend is to actually stack a couple of boxes, one on another, and then measure the whole stack and then divide. This will give you a more accurate size than trying to measure just once, okay? Because once they are stacked, they get to compress a little bit on one another. So this is exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna measure the whole stack. And then divide by 3, which gives me, in this case, 320 as a height. And then you want to do the same thing for dimension B and dimension C. So make sure you put a couple of boxes on a pallet and then make those measurements. So in this case here, I'm gonna use a very simple pattern just to have a quick program that we can run quickly. So I'm just gonna put 4 boxes on each pallet. And I'll put I'll actually use 2 layers with that same pattern. So we're gonna stack 8 boxes on each pallet just to have something that I can show quickly. And then I'll go ahead and do the exact same thing with the other pallet. Again, I'll make it simple, 2 layers, same pattern. And then at that point, I'm ready to run the Palletizer program. So I want to feed the conveyor so that it builds the first pallet and then keep it running. So let's do this together. Now, just as a side note, it might happen that you're doing a trade show or just do a setup in your showroom and you don't actually have access to a conveyor. There is an option using the same program to do it without a conveyor where the pick and place will be different spots actually. If you want to do this, you want to use that line here, conveyor option, and then set that variable called width conveyor. Simply set it to false instead of true. And then you can use different pick positions for both palletizing and depalletizing.